Saskatoon sporting community has a varied and wide diversity in terms of what's available, and one fellow who's visiting here from Australia, from Sydney, is Stephenson Finley, a rugby player on his way to the UK, visiting family, and we've asked him to come by and give us a little bit of a synopsis of what's happening there and what could be happening for him in the future. So, Stephenson, thank you for making time.
No problem. It's a pleasure being here.
I want to talk firstly about yourself, an Aussie from Sydney coming here. Tell us a bit about yourself in Sydney and how you came to be involved in the sport.
Sure. Well, I started out playing when I was 12 years old. My brother started playing, and I decided to start playing with him. He was 2 years younger than me, actually, so I was able to see what he was doing, and I thought I might give it a go. And so 9 or 10 years later, I'm still playing the game. I've played at some high levels of rugby in Australia, but at the moment I'm just playing in a local club competition about an hour's north of Sydney, where I play for the first grade there, so the top grade I could be playing, I'm playing there at the moment, so yeah.
You're having fun with it sounds like.
Oh, loads. Well, it's given me heaps of opportunities to
Sure.
do, because rugby is such a world game and everything. There's so many teams around the world and everything that there's a possibility for me to play anywhere, really, even in Canada.
Well, that's a good point that you bring up, because I don't know a thing about rugby. I can talk about touch football and flag football and tackle football. But in terms of the sport of rugby, you see it, you get the NFL down in Australia.
We get the NFL, not as much as we get here. It's everywhere here. But
so the differences between the two, are you able to?
So the difference between the two, normally, where in the NFL you have your four phases of play. In rugby union, if you have the ball, you can keep going and going until you lose possession of the ball, either fumbling the ball, which in union, if you fumble the ball, you lose the ball, the other team gets the ball then. You can't get it back after that. In union, you have 15 players on the field at each time.
What's a union, first of all?
So, when I say union, I mean rugby union. There's two types of rugby in Australia. There's rugby league and rugby union. I won't go too much into rugby league because we'll be going off track a bit. But rugby union has 15 players on each side, and they, like I said, once they get tackled, they keep going. They can go up to 20 or so plus phases until they lose possession. And whereas in NFL, after every tackle also, they stop and they think of a new play. In union, it's for 80 minutes.
Like a continuous.
It's continuous. So they have two halves of 40 minutes. And so they play one 40-minute half, and then they play the other 40 minutes. There's no extra time or nothing like that if the scores are tied at the end of the game.
And points are scored if you take the ball across the goal line.
So instead, with the NFL, where you have to run the ball across the line, when you run the ball across the line in rugby union, you have to put the ball on the ground. So it's called a try when you put the ball, and that's worth 5 points. And like in NFL, you have a point after kick. We have a point after kick as well, but that's worth 2 points. It's the same when you guys have a field goal attempt. It's worth 3. Our field goals and penalty goals are worth 3 points as well.
What I guess with the Commonwealth, we see some origins of different sports around the world. Where do you see the rugby league in Australia compared to you're on your way to the UK? How did that happen?
Sorry, with the
in terms of playing the rugby game in Australia, and now you're looking at going to the UK.
Well,
what's the connection there?
Well, the connection is because myself, I want to travel. I want to travel the world, and I think union is a really good stepping stone in that, because, like I was saying before, you can play union anywhere in the world. Even Argentina has a side, Spain has a side, so teams all over the world in every continent. They have a team pretty much. Like South Africa, for example, has one of the biggest rugby teams in the world. And think about Japan, who probably have only started playing the game 10 years ago. At the last World Cup, Japan, with the biggest upset the world's ever seen, beat South Africa in a rugby competition. And that was just huge for the world. So I'm just saying all these small little countries that you wouldn't think are starting to develop as powerful rugby nations. And so that just gives everyone an opportunity, even at the smallest level. So even at the level I'm at, I can go over and play for a team like I am planning to do over in the UK in Leicester. So I'm heading over there hopefully next year and playing a season over there.
How did that come to be? I can't imagine you just go on the phone or type
Yeah,
in and send a photo.
it was weird. One of my friends who I hadn't spoken to in a while, he plays cricket, another Australian sport, and at the end of the season in Australia, he goes over and plays over in England, cricket over there. And one of his friends was a first grade rugby coach over in England, and he asked him if he had any friends back in Australia that played rugby, and so he got in contact with me, and that led to me going over there, meeting with them, and so yeah, I'm back here at the moment, but hopefully I'll be over there next year playing rugby, and hopefully that leads to possibly a higher grade, because I want it to be a stepping stone over there, but hopefully possibly leading up to something bigger as well, playing in a higher division.
When you say that higher division, are these into where they start trading you or paying you for appearances?
Start paying and stuff. It's more of a job than it is a hobby then. So
is it a recreation that's taught in schools for starters? You said you were 12.
Yeah, I'm starting to. Actually, that's one of the first ways. Like my brother got me into it, but a rugby clinic came to my school, in my primary school, when I was in year 4, I think it was. Year 4 or 5, and one of the teachers saw that I was really good, and he had a son that played rugby, and he says, "Why don't you come along to a training session?" I came along, and I've been playing ever since that training session. I just absolutely love the game.
When you look at the sport itself, it seems fairly aggressive.
Yeah.
Have you had any injuries in your experience with it? Or?
I've had a few injuries. I've had collarbones go out of place, broken fingers here and there. But I'm normally the one that's giving those injuries more to other people.
Point taken. So is there speed, finesse, size, kind of making up the team into 15 that are on?
A good question, because rugby is a game of like all sizes pretty much. Like you have people half my size playing rugby.
That would be me.
Yeah, like you. People half my size. So like I'm 6'4" and I weigh 125 kilos. So I'm a big guy. I'm not sure what that is in pounds, but
a lot.
A lot, but there's people in my team back at home that are probably like under 6 foot, and they only probably weigh about 70 or 80 kilos. So there's a big difference, but that's the thing. Different positions need those different sizes and stuff like that. So in a position I play, I need to be a big guy, a strong ball carrier and stuff like that. Then there's other people that need to be able to pass the ball well, and people that need to be quick to score the tries.
Do you, when you're in Sydney and playing, is it a regional type of division?
Yeah.
Or you can get into that, I guess?
Yeah, so I play in a region called the Central Coast. In the Central Coast, like I said, it's an hour north of Sydney. And there's 9 teams that play in this region. So we have a season of 18 games, and we verse everyone twice, and we have 2 bye rounds through that. And then we have our finals competitions where the top 4 teams go through, and they play in semi-finals, then a grand final, which is...
Can you drink out of the trophy? Is it a trophy like a cup?
Oh, no, they're actually shields, but it would be nice. That's pretty cool.
We'll work on that. When you talk about the sport and where you were, can you give us a sense of the climate there? Is it a seasonal type of thing?
It's seasonal. So we play in the winter time. So it's summer.
Your winter.
Our winter. So it's summer back in Australia at the moment, but it's played in the winter. So it's all to do with the light, because we don't have, after about 5 o'clock, it tends to get dark in the winter. So, and we don't have lights at our ground, so we can't play at night time. So we normally we would start games from probably about 11 o'clock in the morning, and the last game's at 3 in the afternoon. With my competition, I play in the first grade, but in saying that, we have a second grade, third grade, and then an under-20s competition as well that all play on the same day.
This is your first trip to Canada.
First trip, yeah.
What are your thoughts of what you've seen here in Saskatoon?
Fantastic. It's such a great community, and all the people are so nice. There's so many different little places, like shops and stores, that like I would never find in Australia. But also very cold. I've never experienced this cold before, and seeing snow is pretty amazing.
Warm people, though, right?
Yeah, warm people. They're
Absolutely.
great people.
When you see yourself going to the UK and playing, what do you see for the sport and for Stephenson in the next year or two?
I can see me just learning a lot because I'll be because I've played all my rugby in Australia. When I play in the UK, it's going to be different conditions. It's going to be really rainy conditions, and it's just basically going to be a big learning experience for me while I'm over there because I'm still only young, I'm 22, and hopefully this will be able to help me with my rugby career and moving forward.
What is the age range for a lot of the players themselves? You're 22, would they go up to 30 or 35?
Normally, like I play with
Yeah.
people that are 38, so
Wow.
so they just love the game and they keep playing. But yeah, like normally from our club we have a junior side of it as well, and they start playing from when they're 6 and 7. So it's a huge age gap with what we've got at the club. So yeah.
Appreciate you making time for us today. I think we're going to take a picture of you
Take
so
a picture.
people can see what I'm up against in terms of interviewing you and what I would be up against on the field. But thank you. I appreciate you making time. I
No
hope you
problem.
enjoy your
Enjoyed
stay
it.
here in
Thank you so
Saskatoon.
much.
Good. We'll be right back.